All right, are we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Let's get this show on the road. Good evening and welcome to the December 22nd, 2020 meeting of the Pequannock Township Council. Ms. Marsh.
In accordance with the requirements of New Jersey's Open Public Meetings Act, notice of this meeting was included in the annual meeting notice, which was filed in the office of the Township Clerk, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, published as a legal notice in the Suburban Trends newspaper, and distributed to all persons requesting notice in accordance with Township policy. Information on remote access to the meeting was sent via email to the Suburban Trends, Daily Record, and Record newspapers, posted on the bulletin board, front door, and accessible entrances of the municipal building and on the Township website.
Excellent, thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a prayer and a moment of thanks for individuals serving our nation. I pledge
allegiance to the flag
of the United
of the
States
United States of America
and to the
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Most gracious Providence, we ask that you bless this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding, so that every deliberation will result in actions which will promote the common good and the general welfare for all the people of Pequannock Township. Amen.
Amen. All right. Great job with the flag there, Mr. Cole.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. March, can you please call the roll?
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Here.
Mr. Cole,
Here.
Mr. Phelan,
Here.
Mrs. Russell,
Here.
Mayor Hurd.
Here. Thank
You have a
you.
quorum.
For anyone who hasn't participated in one of our remote meetings, I'm going to ask Mr. Brewer to review the format of the meeting. Mr. Brewer.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me. Thank you, Mayor. This meeting is being held electronically via Zoom. As with the regular meeting of the Township Council, there are several portions of the meeting where public participation is invited. Those are identified specifically on the agenda. Additionally, the Mayor and Council may solicit public input at any time that they decide to open the meeting to the public. At those points, I ask that those individuals wishing to participate raise their hands. And if there are any issues with that, the chat function will be monitored during those public participation portions, and we will allow those people to contribute and dialogue with the Mayor and Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brewer. Okay, there are no presentations scheduled for this evening, so reports from volunteers. At this time, if there are any reports or comments from any of the volunteers serving our community, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized. Mr. Brewer.
Mayor, there are no hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next on the agenda is public comments. Public comment period will be limited to a total of 30 minutes. An additional period for public comment is reserved later in the meeting. Individuals are requested to limit their questions and comments to 3 minutes. If anyone wishes to address the council, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and provide your name and address for the record. Mr. Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, just giving it a minute to make sure no one wants to raise their hand.
Absolutely.
Or a few seconds to be more specific. No hands are raised.
Okay, thank you. Mrs. Marsh, are there any written comments that have been submitted?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. Next on the agenda is manager's report. Mr. Brewer.
Thank you, sir. A few quick items. As we've discussed at the last two meetings, we have scheduled for the council's consideration and a public hearing two ordinances establishing special emergency appropriations, one for the current fund, one for the Recreation Utility Trust. These pertain to the loss in revenue and as due to COVID-19, and as previously discussed, allow flexibility in raising the deficit over the next 5 years to avoid a deficit in operations. There's no issuance of debt anticipated, and should the ability present itself to retire these early, they can be retired early. There's a resolution this evening scheduled for the council's consideration to establish a recreation trust through a dedication by rider. As the council is aware, we have a recreation utility. I've had some thoughts about that. ever since I've been working with everyone at the Township of Pequannock. With COVID-19 and the structure of a utility versus a recreation trust, there were a lot of challenges and issues that would have been more flexible if there were a trust. I've solicited feedback from the auditors about our ability to have both a recreation utility and a recreation trust, and it is allowable. Moving forward, a large subject of discussion in the budget cycle for 2021 will be the recreation function of the Township of Pequannock. We need to reinvent ourselves to be able to proceed with recreation in a viable way. So as is indicated by the special emergency, we don't lose several $100,000 a year in terms of revenues. So if the council sees fit, I think that will give us greater flexibility. And should the decision ever be made not to continue with a recreation trust, it could always be canceled by future action of the council.
So can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
So are we going to have a recreation trust and the recreation utility?
Yes.
Or are we just going to have a trust?
We're going to have both. Currently, the recreation utility has debt in the form of notes as well as deferred charges. So without getting too far ahead of ourselves for the budget process, the utility will have to exist for a period that it can to retire its debt. So some programs will be shifted into the trust, and some programs will have to remain in the utility. There's a strategy for that and documentation being drawn up that'll be presented to council in February.
Okay.
And Adam, my question was similar to that. I understood, that we'd have both the utility and the trust, but is the main purpose of the utility because of what you just said, and it would eventually phase out, or you could continue to run both?
We could continue to run both. And many municipalities that have pools and lakes will have a pool or a lake utility.
Right.
And it's specific to that function. So that's an option we could consider. One of the challenges of having a utility in addition to a trust is it incurs additional costs for administrative fees, but for auditing, it needs to be reviewed just like every other utility does. So there's additional costs there, but there are pros and cons to each, and that's something I really want to explore with the council moving forward. If the utility was going to be phased out, it would take years, 3, 4, 5 years. So it's not something that's going to, happen and be conclusive in 2021. We're developing a strategy to kind of get everything to the right.
It's going to take that long because of the debt.
Correct.
Okay.
And we have some deferred charges in the current fund that retire completely in 2024. So if there are costs that need to be shifted, there's a benefit to timing things appropriately so it doesn't create peaks and valleys. So we've done a lot of consideration to try to plan this so it's done effectively. The next item, if there's no further questions on that one. The reorganization meeting is currently scheduled for January 5th at 6 p.m. at Legacy Castle. Ms. Marcia and I attended the castle last week to go over the planning for that, go over the layout and the operations of that. I just wanted to confirm with council, are we going to move forward with that at the Legacy Castle, or would council like to have that held virtually?
So
What are our thoughts?
The police promotions are out and the new police are out.
Correct. The police department has asked, it's not that I've said you're out, we're not going to have you come. The police department
They're out. If they
into
ask,
my office. Yeah, they asked and said, based upon everything that's going on with COVID and the statistics, they would rather celebrate with their families and have them all be able to come in the future at a future meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So how many people are we anticipating then if we did it in person and the police department promotions aren't going to be part of that? I mean, some reorg meetings, you don't have a lot of people, and other times you do. So what are we thinking? Do we have an idea?
Well, it'd be Kyle's family, Ryan's family, maybe my family.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be big.
Right. So
Do you think we can keep it to 25?
25?
I don't
No
think
way.
I don't think you're going to keep it to 25.
No way.
and then we usually invite, I don't know if they're coming, but usually you invite all these other elected officials or whoever's going to swear you in. And sometimes the freeholders come and the sheriff and, so I don't.
Although the freeholders are doing their reorg meeting via Zoom, so.
Right.
So I think it's important that it's done in person, especially for Kyle and for Melissa. You know, if it's going to be pared down and it's going to be small, it's okay. If it gets too big, then we got problems. Then I'm
Right.
going to back away from it.
I agree.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
if I can interrupt for just 1 second, the identified room for the meeting to be held is the ballroom, which seats 1,300 people.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't want to be near people.
No, I know. I'm just pointing out there's a lot of space. I just want to go over the layout.
Right.
So
Okay,
the
until
chance
somebody
allows for
bumps into
everyone
me.
to be significantly distant from each other, and all the chairs are spaced apart.
Right.
But again,
And I read
whatever the
that.
council's pleasure, we can make happen.
All
So
right,
I, for Kyle's sake, I would like to see it in person. I would like to see a list of people, or not a list, a count of people. That might make it a little bit easier for us. If Kyle's going to invite 100 people, then, but I don't think she's going to.
Listen, for Kyle's sake, quite frankly, I'll give up. You know, my family would love to come, but you know, I'm sure they're willing to give up their seats for
Right.
Kyle's family to be there.
But if it holds 1,300 and we have 30,
Yeah, again, that's the point. How many people are going to show up?
yeah, that's why I asked. Yeah.
I mean, I think a safe bet would probably be between 50 and 70, I would think. You know, I mean, Angela will be there. I don't think I'm going to have anybody else there, you know.
All right. Well, you guys want to finalize it now, or do you want to finalize it between Christmas and New Year's?
It said, Adam, you said you'd like to make the castle
Yeah.
aware of it by tomorrow.
Yeah, based upon the holidays and notice requirements
Right.
and just ironing everything out, I'd like to let people know if possible tomorrow. But if the council doesn't want to make that decision, obviously that's.
I think it should be held in person too. I mean, Kyle, it's a big thing for Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I agree.
It's not that big for me to
Oh,
be
thank
sworn
you.
in again, but you know, I think it's definitely a big thing for Kyle, and I think it should be done in person.
Will it be live as well, that people could watch it?
We'll figure out a way to live stream it. The challenge with the size of the room is the camera may be far away, so we all may be very little. But yes, it will
That's
definitely.
okay. We're little people anyway.
No, but this way,
I
if you
tried
live
to be
stream,
little.
this way, if you live stream it, the people that you didn't invite will watch it as opposed to just showing up.
Correct.
Right.
And then we can keep the number very limited. I don't think we're going to have, you know.
I think with everything going on, the
It's Kyle's
elected
family
officials that
that's
do the
gonna
circuit
be-
probably won't
Right.
come.
I think on my end, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 12 tops.
Kyle, I'll go for you too.
13.
Yeah,
I think it's fine to do it in
Yeah.
person.
I do too.
All right, so we'll
Okay.
confirm it. The consensus is we're going to do it in person at the castle. We'll confirm it with the castle and make those arrangements.
Yeah, as long as they don't care that we only have a small group going, and they don't care.
No, they don't care at all. They're just trying to be helpful in terms of, and again, for anybody watching this, it's at no cost to the municipality, so there's no taxpayer dollars going towards
Yeah,
it.
they've been very nice.
Yeah, and I know it says it in your write-up, but
Right.
I definitely think that it needs to be done for the police.
In the future, definitely.
It's a big thing for Dan. It's a big thing for, you know, the captain, the lieutenant. So
And the new
So-
hires
so
as well.
Let's,
yeah, and the
let's,
new hires,
let's,
absolutely.
let's back up. So we're going to do the police too and their family?
No,
No, that's going to be
Yeah.
a future meeting.
they want to be delayed. They don't want to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, that'll keep it small.
Because then there'll be 200 people.
That's why I
I was
said
gonna
we
say-
definitely, whenever it is, we need to make sure we do that as a.
Right.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, and then the last thing, I'd just like to thank the Township Council. I'd like to thank the Township staff. I'd like to thank all the volunteers. It's been a wonky year. I'll choose that language rather than some other things that I could say. And I think we've done a lot of things, and I appreciate everything that everybody's participated in. So I just want to say thank you, everybody. Have a happy holiday season. Those people who've been enjoying it thus far, and those to come. Enjoy Christmas and Happy New Year, and I look forward to seeing everybody again on the 5th. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Okay, next on the agenda is public hearing on ordinance number 2020-14. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance number 2020-14 is an ordinance authorizing a special emergency appropriation in the sum of $185,000 for COVID-19 related anticipated current fund revenue deficits authorized under NJSA 40A:4-53.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council?
Nope.
Nope.
Excellent. Is there a motion to open to public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, if anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this ordinance, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and identify yourself for the record. Mr. Brewer.
There are no hands raised.
Okay. Mrs. Marsh, has there been any handwritten comments?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Phelan,
Yes.
Mrs. Russell,
Oh, can't hear you.
Yes.
Mayor Cole.
No.
Mayor Hurd, yes.
Mayor,
Hey, it's almost Christmas. I mean, one heck of a year. I'll
It's only
surprise
about-
you if you get this far.
sorry.
Okay. Oh, moving on. Next on the agenda is public hearing on ordinance number 2020-15. Ms. Marsh.
Ordinance number 2020-15 is an ordinance authorizing a special emergency appropriation in the sum of $208,565 for COVID-19 related anticipated recreation utility revenue deficits authorized under NJSA 40A:4-53.
Thank you. Are there any comments from council?
No.
Nope.
Is there a motion to open to public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Can I
I'll
get a
second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If anyone in the audience has questions or comments on this ordinance, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and identify yourself for the record. Mr. Brewer.
Mr. Mayor, there are no hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Ms. Marsh, are there any written comments to be submitted?
They're not.
Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
I'll make
that
a motion. Go ahead, Dave.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Phelan,
Yes.
Mrs. Russell,
Yes.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. Okay, there are no ordinances for introduction, so next on resolutions. Ms. Marsh?
Beginning with resolution R 2020-243, authorizing a grant agreement with Morris County for a 2020 Community Development Block Grant. That's the Senior Center Roof Replacement Project. R 2020-244, authorizing an application to the Morris County Community Development Block Grant Program. 2020-245, authorizing an expenditure from the Pequannock Township Open Space Recreation Farmland and Historic Preservation Trust Fund. 2020-246, authorizing a professional services agreement in an amount not to exceed $2,625 between the Township of Pequannock and HMR Architects for architectural services for the Martin Berry House for the revision of the Phase 3 construction documents. 2020-247, canceling 2020 recreation utility budget appropriations. 2020-248, requesting permission to include a dedication by rider to establish a recreation trust fund. 2020-249, authorizing tax office refunds, overpayments, or cancellations. And 2020-250, approving payment of the itemized claims as set forth under the December 16, 2020 bill list and 2015 FEMA elevation escrow list.
Thank you. Are there any comments on the resolutions from council?
I have one question
Yes,
about 2020-243. So we've been awarded this grant?
Correct. We were awarded the grant, and this is the grant agreement to move forward with the project.
So am I correct by saying this is the second community block grant that we got? One was for the windows and now one is for the roof?
That is correct. And we expect, we plan to accomplish both tasks at no cost to the taxpayer in the township.
That's excellent.
Yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
how many, if you know, I don't remember hearing this community block grant in the past. Is this something new that Pequannock has been doing, or?
This isn't something new, and actually, a block grant was applied for and granted when the senior house was initially constructed. So,
Okay. So what I'm saying is recently, the last 8-10 years, I mean, I don't think we've gotten anything.
we've
So,
had one every year I've been here. I don't know.
yeah, what I'm saying is I like free money, and I'm glad that we're applying it, and I'm glad we're getting some of the money to do some of these projects. And I know there's restrictions on what we can apply for. So I'm glad that, we're finding things that, it's not that we're finding things, but I'm glad that we have things that we can go for these grants for. So
Absolutely.
kudos to whoever is writing those and getting those grants for us.
And I think over the years, this is something that we have, been saying we need to really push for these grants. So yeah, somebody's taking the reins and running with it. And it's good. I know that one committee that Kyle and I were sitting on, which I think next year is going to be somebody else. This was part of that.
Right. The Morris County Community Development Revenue Sharing Committee has different subcommittees, and each town gets representation. And these are what the applications. And as 244 identifies, we're pivoting to some road resurfacing projects and using them to supplement our program there. So it's a team effort by the staff, and we're proud of what we're doing.
Is the roof going out to bid? Is that something that's going to have to go out to bid?
Based upon the estimate that was received for the application, it's going to be sub-bid threshold. So it'll have to be a competitive quote process, but not a formal bid, which again saves taxpayer dollars because bonding and other things aren't necessarily required.
But when we don't go out to bid, is it still prevailing wage?
Yes, it is. And that's why there's a competitive procurement process to satisfy, because it's federal dollars. So we have to satisfy the federal requirements.
All right. Okay. I'm good with everything else. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other questions from council?
Nope.
All righty. Is there a motion to adopt these resolutions?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2020-243 through 2020-250.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Mrs. Florence Lynch,
Yes.
Mr. Cole,
Yes.
Mr. Phelan,
Yes.
Mrs. Russell,
Yes.
Mayor Hurd.
Yes. Okay, there are no items for discussion. There are no reports or notices. So next is on the agenda is council reports and announcements. Councilwoman Florence Lynch.
Yes. I don't have much, except I did want to give kudos to the event that was held last Friday. It was a winter dash around town organized through North Boulevard. And I guess there was a lot of support from the town and Mr. Portis and Mr. Loeffler, the police department, the fire department, the first aid squad. It was a well-run event. It was great for the kids. And Councilman Cole and Deputy Mayor Russell and myself were at Town Hall.
Chilly.
Huh?
It
What'd
was
you do?
17 degrees
Yeah.
outside.
And we were handed out candy canes, and I have to admit, Dave and his wife made us look great. Angela bought all the candy canes and put little stickers on them that said from Pequannock Town Council. So that was really great. But it was just a well-run, fun event. It was cold out, but it was fun. And just kudos to everybody that organized that. And other than that, I just want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and a happy holiday season.
Thank you. Councilman Cole.
All right, I got a few things. Just want to announce Company One announced their officers for next year. Chief is going to be Chris Bell. Captain is Brian Daly. First lieutenant is Ed Quist. Second lieutenant is Ryan English. Company number 2, Chief is Jim Shaver. Captain is Sean Mackey. First lieutenant is Scott Birkenbush. Second lieutenant is Hunter Siggy. Company 2 had 28 calls for the month of November. I also would like to thank DPW for their plowing, and I noticed I was at Greenview Park and at Foothills. Glad to see all the hay bales out to let the kids sled safely, all placed in front of the trees, in front of obstacles where they might get hurt, so they bounce into a hay bale. So I like to see that. And also this time of the year, I'd just like to thank some individuals who do so much for our residents that are in need. Pequannock Food Pantry, Linda and Ed Wilson, Linda Rooney, Pauline and Jean McEwen, Rose and Frank Chara, Kathy Rogers, Jeanette Turner, and Jane Young. I'd also like to thank Dave Vasilenko for all he did during 2020. It's been some crazy times. The food pantry, Dave, they did a great job keeping everyone's spirits up. I'd also like to thank all our volunteers, the fire departments, our police department, our first aid squad, all of our township employees. All did a great job during this crazy year. I'd like to thank Adam, Carol, Tom Cantasano for their leadership during the pandemic. And happy Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and have a great holiday with your family. So, but if I missed anyone, thanks.
Well, it just goes to show how incredible our town is with all those volunteers literally giving up their time in every aspect. So thank you, Mr. Cole.
Thank you.
Councilman Phelan?
Well, I don't want to repeat what Dave said, but everything Dave said, I agree with. And thank you for everybody who does all the great things for our town, and happy holidays to everybody from Vermont.
All right. Councilwoman, Deputy Mayor Russell?
Ditto what Dave said, and Melissa, that winter dash was a lot of fun to be a part of. And thank you very much to the first aid squad who brought us heaters to stand by as they also were standing there, and the police department was there. And reiterating what Dave said, a lot of people came together during this pandemic, and I think that's why we're such a great community. And I say it every week, but kudos to Adam and everybody that works with Adam and the DPW and the Parks and Rec and just everybody, because as a team, we really kept a lot of things open and we really had a lot of events, and that's important. It's so important for a peace of mind for the children, for the parents, and that wasn't easy to do, and I'm sure the decisions weren't always easy to make, but I think everybody really, health department, everybody just did a great job. Looking forward to a wonderful next year, and Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year, and everybody just be safe. Thank you.
Bob, you did a great job
Thank you.
too. I left you out.
Now Bob's in, part of the family.
Yep.
All right. So lastly, I want to echo what Dave said about the sledding. Obviously, everything that you said, but DPW did do a great job, and it was nice to see the community out there, a little bit of normalcy. So it was packed. It was great. Everybody was doing their thing. Kids were having a lot of fun. So that was very good. I want to congratulate the opening of the Mayor Nick Kitchen. We cut the ribbon. That's the 7th ribbon we've cut. There are 3 other companies that also opened up in Pequannock. That makes 10 plus companies that have opened during this pandemic year, wonderful year of 2020. So we're doing something good there, which makes me proud. Congratulations to Pequannock Engine Company number 2. They had their annual 50/50. And Wayne Oakley was the wonderful winner of that one. So great job. I was also on the phone earlier today with Mikey Sherrill, which is our Congresswoman. The COVID-2 relief package looks like it's going totally through. We just got to wait for the president to sign it. That's going to increase unemployment for a bunch more weeks and add $300 to that. It's also going to increase PPP loans as well as EIDL grants for the small businesses. So everything that our community needs and we can take advantage of. So that's a good thing. And lastly, this happens to be my last meeting as mayor of Pequannock. So I do have a few thank yous out there. First, I want to start with Rich. Mr. Phelan, I want to thank you because, your kind words. You did give me a bunch of ideas and forward thinking for council. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. Miss Russell, your encouragement to be more visible. So I want to thank you for that one. Hopefully I've lived up to what you thought I could do.
You
Mr.
did.
Cole, thank you. Mr. Cole, thank you for allowing me to run with you again. I think it was great, and congratulations on your win or our win together. Melissa, thank you for being you. The great thing about Melissa is that she's always happy. She's always there to pick everybody up. So I do appreciate that. Moving on for Adam.
What about Bob?
I'm
Poor
getting there.
Bob. Bob, I love you, Bob.
And that's where Adam, Carol, and Bob come from. If it wasn't for you guys and our meetings and our conversations and allowing me to call you all the time and ask you questions and pick your brains, and I just want to say thank you for keeping me out of trouble, Carol, and Adam, and Robert, Mr. Boosdyke. I really do appreciate it because, hey, you never know. This was one heck of a year. I am officially the first pandemic mayor of Pequannock. Don't know if I really want that designation, but you know what? If it wasn't for everybody here, as well as the employees of Pequannock, everybody, as Kyle was saying before, we are one of the only towns out of 565 towns in the state of New Jersey. We are one of the only towns that kept our operations open and kept a little bit of normalcy. Even if we were doing split shifts, thank you, Adam, for setting everything up and doing what you got to do. But at the end of the day, grass still got cut, leaves still got picked up, and we still kept moving forward, and DPW still kept doing what they needed to do, and all the girls in the office were doing their thing, and health department, so that is amazing. And lastly, I want to thank all of our first responders. I beat this drum all the time, and I'm not going to stop. If it wasn't for First Aid Squad, I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, in March and April, when we are all getting our all calls, and nobody else is answering that call except for Pequannock. I'm proud of you guys. So First Aid Squad, police, Company 1, Company 2, you guys and gals are the best in the world, and I am proud to say Pequannock is absolutely, positively the #1 town in the state of New Jersey. And thank you for allowing me to be mayor this year. I really do appreciate it. Thank everybody. Thank everything that you guys did, and there you go. Been one heck of a year, so moving right along. All right, next on the agenda is public comment. If anybody wishes to address the council, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized and provide your name and address for the record. Mr. Brewer.
Mayor, we have one hand raised at the moment.
Come on down. Who do we have?
Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
Hi, all.
Hey,
Just
Frank.
want to wish
Hey, Frank,
everybody
how
a
are
Merry
you?
Christmas.
Oh,
Hey,
thank you,
Frank.
Frank.
Hey,
You
Frank.
too.
Hopefully, I'll see you for New Year.
Oh, absolutely. Thank
That's
you,
it.
Frank.
Thank you.
Mr. Brewer, anyone else?
Mayor, there are no other hands raised.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Marsh, do we have any written comments that have been submitted?
No, there are none.
All right. Next on the agenda is minutes for approval. It's December 8th, 2020. Is there any comments on these minutes? All right, is there a motion to approve these minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Everybody's jumping
Okay.
up. Can I get a second?
Kyle,
Second.
All in favor?
So
Aye.
wait, who motioned that? Who seconded?
I motion.
Rich motion, Kyle second. All in
Thank you.
favor? Aye.
Aye.
I,
No, it is opposed. All right. Next on the agenda is closed session discussion. Mr. Uzdek, will you please explain the procedure for holding the closed session?
Sure, thank you, Mayor. This is the portion of our meeting when, during in-person meetings, the council adjourns the public portion of the meeting in order to meet in executive session to discuss confidential matters. During our virtual meeting, we ask members of the public to log off at this time so that the council can have their executive session virtually. We will only meet again to adjourn. There will be no action taken following our executive session. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion to approve Resolution R 2020-251, authorizing the Township Council to meet in executive session to discuss contract negotiations of property acquisition, matters of attorney-client privilege, and the litigation of, oh boy, Nygaard versus the Township of Pequannock.
I'll make that motion.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, no action will be taken. Follow the closed session. At this time, the public portion of the meeting is recessed for the closed session. Mr. Brewer. All right, we are back in public session. Mr. Lustig.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight in executive session, the council briefly discussed 3 matters. First, contract negotiations regarding property acquisition. The council gave direction to the township manager regarding the desire not to proceed with an acquisition. Secondly, a second property issue involving an easement was discussed. The council gave authorization to pursue the documentation regarding that easement, which will involve future council action. Third, the township manager provided the council with an update on new litigation filed against the township of Pequannock, and the council was so informed. That's all we had tonight.
Thank you, sir. That being said, Merry Christmas, Pequannock. The last one of the year.
You too.
Merry Christmas.
All right, so there being no further business, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Can I get a second?
I
Got
second
the
it.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Excellent. Meeting adjourned at 7:43. Let's try it again. Merry Christmas, Pequannock. There you go.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for your time.
All right.
Good night.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
Bye.